Good morning, class. Chief Joseph can be with us today for chapter 22. So today it's Elvis Aaron Presley, man. Hey! Chapter 22. We are nearing the end of the most famous gothic horror inventions of all time. Look at how many things she's kicked off with her writing that still impact us today. Immortality, Mary Shelley. Chapter 22. Okay, so we have some climax choices to make in our journals. Like, was the climax when the demon came and checked in on the laboratory and he had, in a fit of rage, ripped her apart and dumped her in the ocean like Dexter? And that's when he said, "I will be with you on your wedding night." Was that the climax? Or maybe it was Clerval's death? Him going into the room and going, "I'm accused of murder," and I go in and it's, "Oh my God, it's Henry Clerval, my best friend." No, I think I'm kind of leaning towards the ripping the girl monster apart. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, as long as it's text-based. Chapter 22. So they reverse the indictment. The grand jury does. They set him free after months in a dungeon in Ireland. Dad picks him up. Now their long journey home. He tells him, "I killed them," but he won't give any deets. His dad just thinks he's talking crazy. And he says, "But I'm not mad, but they died at the hand of my doing." But he doesn't go into detail, which that would be very frustrating for a parent. Then he receives this long letter from Elizabeth. Single space, like 12 paragraphs. And she gives him a get out of jail free card, people. She says, "You keep on traveling and all this stuff and you don't want to be with me. I'm not feeling this whole marriage thing. I think you might be thinking of me like a sister and not a lover. So don't feel like you have to marry me." She gives him the get out of jail free card. Then she says, "I even am guessing that you probably love someone else." Like, ouch, that's dagger there. And she's been feeling that. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm still with you, boo." So they get back and they say, 10 days, we're getting married. And then Victor is just, his wheels are turning, like all he can think of is the fiend saying, "I will be with you on your wedding night," is the quote. Like, that's kind of the last thing you want to hear, obviously. Page 173, probably one of my favorites in the whole book. We get more women's rights stuff when Elizabeth makes some decisions. And Victor graciously allows the woman to make a decision. I mean, imagine that, girls. So he goes over the deaths of his family members, his reluctance, his anxiety, his just dealing with his mental health. Again, "I shall be with you on your wedding night." What's this gonna look like? Trying to blank it out, get it out of his head. They then decide that they're gonna honeymoon the very day of their wedding after a brief little get-together party social for a reception. They're going to go to a lake place on Lake Como in Italy that Elizabeth inherited from her dowry on her wedding. So yes, girls, you would have had a dowry that your family put together. It would be almost like a bribe box for a future husband. It would have stuff in it like, when you get married to the person we approve of, then you can have a little lake cabin. If you don't get married to the person we approve of, you may not have the lake cabin. And so maybe the guys would look at the dowry and say, ooh, I'll get a lake cabin if I marry her. So all I got to do is get the dad to approve of me, and then score, lake cabin for free, cha-ching. It's called Villa Lavenza. So that's where they're going. And they have to take a boat. So he's rowing for hours and hours. They finally get married on page 176. Don't go into too many details about that. Just that they had a nice little reception afterwards, and then now they're on the boat, and they mentioned Mont Blanc twice. And really, that's chapter 22. We get some dowry stuff, we get some women's rights stuff, some choices by women, not just the men. And he's just feeling it, he's scared. Man, this is Elvis Aaron Presley. Good afternoon, Memphis.